Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I'm back with another episode of Shadow Talk. This is episode 153, and today I'll be talking about Shadow of the Weird Wizard and what to do in between quests. But before we start that, as always, I'd like to pay some attention to new offerings from Schwab Entertainment, and there's really only one to pay attention to that's been released over the last week or so, and that is the Lamentable Life of Boner Garage. And this is a mission for the Punk Apocalyptic RPG. And it's a master tale of murder and mayhem for Punk Apocalyptic, the RPG. Yeah, I know. I've been fooling around with all sorts of catastrophic endings for this campaign in the last few missions, and here we are again with yet another big showy finish. I mean, if the campaign ended with one of the previous ones, then this little fellow can sure serve you for the next one. If not, here's another shot at bringing the whole thing to a happy ending. Not that kind, perv. In the Lamentable Life of Boner Garage, Scrapbridge reels from an invasion of the Amok, those weirdos from up north who use the brain nectar they drain from their victims to make ambrosia their drug of choice. The number of untapped brains in the city brought the freaks here like a cold Amsel brings the Schwalb. The Amok got in, and the whole place has become a horror show. Luckily, there might be a cure for this ambrosia shit. Word on the street is that Dr. Sarius of the Scrapbridge Methane and Meat Electroproteic Guild has a solution. He needs the mercs to give him a hand. And Boner Garage, well, he's the key to the cure. If I were you, I'd have a copy of the Amok and the Scumbag's Guide to Scrapbridge to run this mission. As I am fond of saying, though, I am not the boss of you. Do whatever floats your boat. All right, so that actually sounds interesting as a campaign ender. And I have to be honest with you, I didn't know that these missions were interrelated for an overarching campaign. But to be honest with you, I haven't delved too much into Punk Apocalyptic simply because it's not my jam. But maybe one day when I'm, in between games and looking for something else to fill the space, I might pull out Punk Apocalyptic and check out this campaign. So anyway, that is it for this Schwab Entertainment product spotlight. So let's go on to talk about what we're talking about here. So what I am going to discuss is in Secrets of the Weird Wizard. And pull that over here. Okay, and so basically this is this is something that would apply in between quests. So of course, in order for what we're about to discuss to apply, you have to have time in between quests. And this is kind of tough for me. I generally run campaigns that are pretty ongoing, meaning that there's not a whole lot of downtime in between adventures. It's all just kind of one thing leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing sort of way of doing things. But I'm trying a different approach with the first Shadow of the Weird Wizard campaign I'm running. And so I'm also going to be trying out these downtime training rules. Now, I really dig this. When I first read this in Secrets of the Weird Wizard, I was really anxious to try this out because I think it's a great way to enable your player characters to improve their characters without having to wait for a new novice path a new path to progress, which they always get something when they get a new path. But even in between adventures, in between the quests, they can still they can still work on their character and they can still improve upon them. And they can do so in the following ways. So the downtime training options include the following: learn a language, professional training, discover a tradition, activity training, and retraining. So let's take these one by one. So learn a training is fairly simple, or sorry, learn a language is fairly simple. A character learns any non-secret language or a secret one if the character has access to someone who knows it and is willing to teach it. Now, I would say that you actually need somebody that knows how to speak and teach any language, not just a secret language. So learning a language is possible. Now, the thing is, technically, you should be able, according to this anyway, you should be able to learn something in between adventures, or as it specifies in each of these categories, which we'll get to here in a sec. So this doesn't have this doesn't say that it takes more than one downtime period to learn a language. So, just the weird thing that could happen here is if your downtime period is a week, and your character picks up learn a language, then basically what you're saying is that this character is able to locate someone that knows the language that they're wanting to learn, and then it can be taught to them in the course of a week. That's some kind of hell of a Rosetta Stone there, because it doesn't work that way. But if you have somebody that can accompany the character on multiple quests and teach the language, then that makes more sense. But it's not what it says here. So there's going to have to be some suspension of disbelief in addition to what you normally apply to role-playing games in order to buy some of this stuff. So learning a language can be done in between quests. And it only takes one downtime period to do that. Professional training. So characters train to learn an additional profession from those described in Shadow the Weird Wizard. A character must choose one specific profession and own the items normally granted by that profession, if there are any. If a character would become a politician, for example, they must purchase or otherwise acquire a set of superior clothing. The next one is discover a trade. And again, this can be picked up in between adventures. So if your downtime is a week, then they can learn a whole new trade during the course of that week. Now, what I would recommend, of course, to resolve that is that you make the downtime period in between adventures several months. Then it's a little bit more credible that your characters can pick this stuff up over the course of a few months rather than the course of a week. But, at any rate, I wouldn't sweat it too much. I mean, after all, they pick up a whole new path overnight, right? So, why would this be any more difficult to swallow? Okay, so discover a tradition. All right, so characters can attempt to discover new magical traditions, provided they have access to someone who has discovered the tradition already, or to a place where information about the tradition might be found, such as a temple, a library, or a magic academy. It takes 2 downtime periods to complete this training. Now this is interesting. It's probably to ensure that characters don't get access to too many traditions. So you have to actually take 2 downtime periods in order to pick up a new tradition. And when this is complete, the character discovers the tradition and can choose spells from it when they would learn spells. However, the character gains none of the associated talents for discovering a tradition in this way. So you can pick up a tradition which can expand your palette of spells, perhaps, but you still have to use the spells that you gain when you level up in order to choose spells from this new tradition. In other words, you don't automatically get spells by learning this new tradition, and you don't learn any of the talents associated with the tradition by learning it as a downtime activity. Okay, so then we have activity training. Characters can spend time training to perform activities related to one of their attributes. during their next quest. When the character gets a failure on a roll using the trained attribute, they can discard the result and roll again. A character can use this training benefit once as a novice, twice as an expert, and 3 times as a master. Once the last use has been expended, the benefit is lost. And then finally, we have retraining. If a character gained a talent from a selection of choices, such as the fighting style talents in the fighter path or talents gained from discovering a tradition, they can swap out the talent for a different one. Similarly, a character can swap knowledge of one spell for a different spell or of the same tier from a tradition the character has discovered. All right, so that's your downtime training. Now, there's other things you can do in between quests, and it goes into a little bit here. Buying and selling things, crafting things, and either making connections or taking advantage of the connections that you may have. And there's some guidelines here. I'm not going to go through that because I really just wanted to talk about the downtime training, just because I think it's a neat mechanic, and I think it's definitely something that I'm incorporating into my campaign. And we will see how it goes. So hopefully it won't make the characters too powerful, but just by reading through this, it doesn't sound like it's going to have that big of an impact. But it's still going to have some impact at any rate that I think would make the character more interesting. Okay, so that's it. Short video today. So hope you enjoyed it. And and if you so choose to do so, I would ask that you consider going out to Roll20 Marketplace and picking up some of my token sets, because that's extra money for me, and I like money. And you can use those token sets in your Shadow of the Weird Wizard game or your Shadow of the Demon Lord game. So just a reminder, it's out there. No biggie. I've got a job, so I've got income, but a little extra money helps pay the Roll20 subscription fee that I have to pay every month, so that would be nice. Anyway, I'm done here, so thanks for watching. Hail to the Demon Lord, and how do you turn this damn thing off?